Okay, I've got 10:05 right now, so we have 23 out of I believe 59 registered participants that are on now. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Mark Spam, the Deputy General Manager. Um, if you could bear with us a little bit, we're not real savvy as it comes to this teleconferencing. We're kind of learning as we go here. I do know that what we've done is we've taken the liberty to mute everybody that's in here with the exception of people that we believe are going to add to the conversation as to what the mayor has to say. At the end of the mayor's remarks and when we've got all the support staff that have made their remarks, we'll unmute everybody. When we do that, what I'd ask you to do is mute yourself until you see the opportunity to ask a question. The reason for that is we've learned in a couple of days of doing this is in some cases there's significant background noise that overcovers the person that's trying to ask a question. So we would ask you that until you're ready to ask a question, you mute yourself until you find that there's some space there to jump in with a question. There's also a field on here where you can raise your hand if you have a question. If you feel comfortable using that, if you're that tech savvy, we'll try to figure out how to do that as well. So having that we're a little after 10:05, I'll turn it over to the mayor for his remarks. And then Mayor, if you've got any additional people that you need to add to your conversation, just let me know who they are and I can make sure that they're unmuted.
Good morning. I'm assuming everybody can hear me now?
Yeah.
You're set? Okay, good. Well, the whole purpose of today was basically to say, hey, look, we just want to get the general public to be able to have a communication or a way of communicating with the residents here at the city. With everything that's been going on, we've been meeting constantly here at City Hall and attending webinars or press conferences or updates and just to try and get ourselves more familiar with what's going on. A few days ago, the Albany County had 1 or 2 cases. Now I believe they're right now I think we're up to 41. Right now, as we were told yesterday, 2 cases were actually in the arsenal. We don't know any information about that yet. I have no idea if they're residents, but they are workers here that's been, within the city. So yes, it is concerning, but it isn't something that we probably didn't anticipate or predict that it was going to affect here in Watervliet because we're, so isolated. No city has been. But basically, it was really right now we're trying to do this again, as Mark has said, that this is just a way of introducing ourselves and trying to get this as a protocol or a way of getting the information out with the technology we have today. I know not everybody's computer savvy. We're not here, or I'm not as much either. But it's a good way of learning and getting started. So I want to thank you for those that are on the call. We're hoping that we'll be able to record this later and maybe even broadcast it again. And as we proceed, we'll probably do this again. We're not sure how often or in what format, but we will want to try and keep in touch. Again, I try and keep it out as much in the social media on our website. I send it out by emails. So, I've been trying to communicate and keep everybody up to date on what we're doing. As you know, City Hall, we closed City Hall to the general public. We still have services. We're still providing services. The staff has been great, very cooperative and helpful. With all the department heads, we've been meeting and discussing this. The protocols with the police and fire department, I'll let them address them, specifically, but I think we're doing the best we can with the knowledge that we have. And I want to thank them and everybody else that's been involved in it. So with that being said, again, I'd like to ask if, this is basically a question and answer period. If you have questions, could be as little as I've been getting emails about FOIL requests. I believe now that you can go on our website, you can click it, and you can either download the form or fill it out yourself. If Dave Wheatley is on there, I believe he created that form. There's other, like I say, there's other forms that we're trying to create and keep going on. So with that, are there any, let's say, city personnel? I'll start off with the fire department. Is Tom or the chief on?
I got the chief here with me, Mayor, and Tom Corcoran is on as well.
Okay. So if I can, we'll start off with basically the precautionary methods that we're doing with the fire department and responders. So I'll let them go ahead and speak to that.
Yeah, chief's going to defer to Tom. So Tom, you're up.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning. My name is Tom Corcoran. I'm the EMS coordinator for the City of Watervliet Fire Department. I'm prepared to discuss the preparedness and the actions that the fire department's currently taking related to the COVID-19 crisis. We're continuing to provide fire protection and emergency medical services to the city. We are operating in a designated state of heightened prevention. This means several things. It's important you know that the fire and EMS leaders around the region at all levels are working around the clock, adopting new ideas in a rapidly changing healthcare world. We're in contact every day with our regional emergency medical organization, who are relaying the latest recommendations and rules from the CDC and the Department of Health. We're following the latest federal, state, and local guidelines for the health and safety of our members. We're currently well stocked with PPE. We have an order placed with New York State through Albany Operations Center. We're tracking its progress. I was actually notified this morning that the order has been received at the central warehouse, and we're eagerly awaiting notification that we can pick it up. We're adopting best practices and modifying our response to reflect the latest scientific research and best practices. We are in daily contact and cooperating with our surrounding mutual aid fire and EMS agencies. We are passing all this new information down to our firefighter paramedics multiple times a day in the firehouse and online while we're responding to calls. For several days, our station has had limited access to the public and requires screening prior to entry. Our crews have increased the cleaning and disinfection of the firehouse apparatus and equipment. We're currently responding to calls as normal with enhanced personal protective equipment. You will see our members wearing goggles and gloves, and oftentimes also face masks on all of our encounters with the public. In terms of action, we saw a significant
Hey, Tom, are you there? All right, Tom, we lost you. Mayor, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. We lost Tom.
Yep.
All right.
All right, I'll reach out to Tom.
Is Tom on?
I'm going to text him.
Okay, we'll get Tom back on in a second. Can I defer now to the police department and ask them to tell us what they're doing? Chief Brian, are you on? All right, we don't have them. You can hear me still, Mark, right?
I can.
Okay. Let's, Joe, or would you like to make a comment on what we're doing here with relation to the police and fire?
Sure. Can you hear me, Mayor?
I can.
Okay. For the residents that are on and departments as well, I know one of the things that we're doing from police and fire is the continuing of service as well as sanitation as well. I think for the residents' perspective, they need to understand that even though City Hall is closed, that our day-to-day operations have not ceased. I think we've tried to make ourselves available in any way, shape, or form via email or phone. If there's any conversations or concerns, or if anything is needed, of course, we're just that phone call or email away. But I know what we're doing here today is a great tool for us to communicate in the future. And I think from a resident's perspective, they also need to know that whatever information we're finding, we're trying to push out to the residents and the business community as well. We're not trying to decipher and interpret and push it out. We're trying to give it as we receive it.
Thanks, Joe. Chris, do you have anything that you might want to mention to the residents? Chris Doss? Well, with that, Mark, what we'll do is they're probably either one having problems or with their the mics and all. Do you want to open it
Mayor,
up?
can you hear me? Mayor, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, this is Tom Corcoran back at the fire department.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, just to finish up, I'm not sure where I cut off, but just to let you know, for several days we've had limited access to the station. We're requiring screening prior to entry, so we're checking people's temperatures and having them declare an affirmation that they're not sick. We have increased our cleaning and disinfection here at the firehouse, also of the apparatus and our equipment. We're responding to calls as normal. You're going to see our guys wearing goggles and gloves and lots of times masks when they're out in public. In terms of action, we've had a significant increase in EMS calls yesterday. Luckily, nobody was really sick. Most people were able to treat and leave them at home or recommend a different treatment pathway other than transporting to the emergency department, which is a recommendation of the Regional Emergency Medical Organization and the Department of Health now. I just really want to remind everyone the current recommendations are asked that you continue to live your life, but with precautions to protect our whole community. If you're not out shopping for essentials, getting health care, exercising, you need to try to stay at home. When you are outside, practice the 6-foot social distancing. When you're at home, please wash your hands. Okay, that's about all I have. In closing, just want you to know that the fire department, we're continuing to plan for the worst, but we're working for the best.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Now, is there anybody else from city that would like to make a comment?
Mayor, you got Chris Dawes. I believe he's all set. Chris, you on?
Yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yep.
Okay. As far as sanitation, refuse, and recycling goes, we are all set. We work diligently with Mark Spain and the administration for a contingency plan in case any of our staff goes down. But it's unlike, like I like to say, it's business as usual. We're keeping to our schedule. We're picking up garbage and recycling throughout the city. April 3rd starts our lawn and leaf pickup. I know the bulk is announced in April, and we're going to see how that goes, along with our electronic recycling day. But we plan on going forward. If we have bigger issues, then we'll have to postpone something. We'll let the residents know. But garbage and recycling, put it out there on your regular days, and we're working diligently to get it picked up and go forward.
I was just gonna say.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Anyone else? Anybody from the police department on? Okay. Just a little bit of a follow-up. We had a meeting yesterday with some of the key leaders from the city, and we talked with individuals from the school, Dr. Kaplan, the housing, the senior center, and we're kind of trying to determine what the needs are of the residents and trying to address them the best way we possibly can. I've even reached out to Gold Corporation to see if there's anything that we can do to help with coordination with them. Again, we've been talking about the our local businesses, and many of them now were forced to close, but are providing takeout. So please support them as best you can. We will, every day we keep on thinking of another idea or another way of trying to address a particular need for the residents. But if you do have one that we haven't been able to address, or you don't think we're addressing, and we may have been, let us know. We're making a list of places that offer in free Wi-Fi so that the residents can take advantage of that, especially the children that may need it. And maybe for, for any of their homework assignments. I know the Dome is one of the sites that has Wi-Fi. I know the senior center has Wi-Fi. Or not the senior, but the library has Wi-Fi, which you can probably get through the just being outside in the where the benches are. That's available. So if there's other locations that we have, we're going to be posting them and keeping everybody's best informed. So if we're missing any, please let us know. We certainly are looking here for ideas, and we're doing the best we can.
Mayor, I have Chief Gerasi's right here. He just walked into the office. I'm going to turn my.
Chief.
Thank you. Hey, good morning, everyone. Morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Chief.
I was trying to connect on the phone and the computer wasn't working. So I heard everything everyone said.
Go ahead. If you want to make a couple of comments on what they're doing with the police department, that'd be great.
Sure, absolutely. So we have in very close contact with Tom Corcoran at the fire department and our regional and state partners. It is a dynamic, rapid situation each day, each hour. So we do appreciate the patience and cooperation from the city residents. We ask that no one comes to our police station for non-emergency situations. Anyone out there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you there?
We're here.
Okay. So we suspended all ancillary functions, auxiliary functions, obviously no vital. We ask that you call a non-emergency number, 518-270-3833 for assistance. We may not respond to your house for non-emergency situations. We may just call you back on the phone to take reports. We are pushing information out on a daily basis through one of the mediums, either our Facebook, Nixle, or our website. So you will notice officers taking similar precautions as the fire department with PPEs. They may have gloves on, masks on, and ask you some pertinent questions. We ask that you don't be offended by those questions and those precautions. Our primary function here is, and a concern is really the safety and welfare for our workforce to ensure that we're providing emergency services, 24/7. So at this point, there's no confirmed cases in the city of Watervliet. Our workforce is safe and healthy, and we want to keep it that way. But we do appreciate the cooperation, anticipated cooperation from the community.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, I have one question. Excuse me, Mayor. Chief, we kind of closed down the schools without the educational component, I think, from the kids in the community as to gathering places, what we're seeing currently, as to what that group size should be. I know we travel through the city from time to time and you see, kids playing in the parks and so on. Can you speak to the educational component for the children, or for at least for the parents that might be on the line, as to what size group that might be and some of the concerns that the health communities have as far as gathering?
Sure. I'll speak as a parent. I know it's very frustrating. I have 3 children at home with my wife, and they're asking every day to go play with friends. It's difficult to say no, but the way we're going to flatten this and stop the spread is really heeding the advice of everyone from the federal government, the state government, local officials, and just a common sense approach that we kind of limit those gatherings and those groups and keep that social distancing. So I would just encourage the parents. I can more than empathize with you. I sympathize with you as a parent. Trying to keep the kids occupied, and especially with spring coming around and spring sports, it's frustrating on many levels. But in order to stop the spread, we really do have to limit the kids being together, even if it is in a public space, playing a basketball game, right? There's contact, they're touching the same, the basketball and things like that. So I encourage exercise and running and all of those things, but let's just limit the amount of group gathering, and we'll get through this together.
Okay, good. Thank you, Chief. Anybody else we'll probably address it with, if there are any questions regarding the other issues of code or any other access that we may need to, that again, to carry on city functions as we need. But if we want to, Mark, can you open it up to the general public and we'll see if there's any questions out there that we could answer?
Mayor's Paul Lavoisier, the code enforcement. Can you hear me?
We can, yep.
Okay. I would just like to just throw out there that from the code aspect, we have suspended all the ROP, MDOP inspections, which are the 3-year inspections that we schedule of occupied apartments. We still are conducting the RUC inspections, which is the residential unit compliance certificate inspections, which is the one they either need to come to City Hall and pay the $40 for, or they can email in. If they decide to come to City Hall to pay the $40 in person, they would have to stay outside the building, call the number on the paper on the window, and we would come down and conduct that transaction with them. And then we would set up the time to go do the vacant apartment. We're only inspecting vacant apartments at this time. We are doing exterior building inspections, things like that. Building permit inspections, mostly exterior, things of that nature. But we are not at this time inspecting any occupied apartments. I've gotten multiple phone calls this morning about how we're conducting these occupancy inspections. So I just wanted to throw it out there to the people who are on the webinar here.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Mayor, it's Dave Wheatley. Can you hear me?
We can.
Mayor, as far as the city clerk's office goes, 2 of the biggest things that we have are the FOIL request for incident and accident reports. As you mentioned earlier, those reports are available online. If they fill them out, those will be emailed directly to my office, where we can answer them and get the information back to the residents. Any other information that are required, they can either call and leave a message in the office, or they can email me at dwheatley, WHEATLEY @watervliet.com, and I will get back to them as soon as possible with the information they're requesting.
Thank you, Dave.
So, Mayor, everybody that's in the audience now should be unmuted. So if they're muted right now, they've done it on their own phone, so they can just unmute. And I see Tatiana has a question. Tatiana, are you on?
Yes, hi. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys having this this conference call. It's nice to know that you guys value, communicating everybody. But I guess my question is, I work at Stewart's, and they have said that we are not allowed to wear a mask as employees. I think this is a not so common, or I think it's actually a common practice that a lot of businesses are doing. But for obvious reasons, I do have a problem with that, and so do many other employees. And I'm hoping that as the city, maybe you can kind of enforce some type of policy of companies in Watervliet allowing their employees to wear masks if they choose to. That's all, really.
Okay. That's a good question, Tatiana, and I certainly can look into it and see what kind of, let's say, authorization or things that we may be able to have. I do know that we pretty much follow the recommendations from Dr. Whalen from the Albany County Health Department, and I can bring that to her attention and see what they do. The county, I have to say, has been excellent in trying to get a jump on this. They've been having daily, it's almost sometimes hourly updates that they've been sending out, and anything that we would know. So I can certainly ask that or address that with them and see what they would recommend and how we would be able to either 1, recommend it, or 2, enforce it. Thank you. Anyone else? No one else? Nobody out there, Mark?
it doesn't appear anybody has any questions. I believe that I've gone through and unmuted anybody.
All right, well, thank you. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everyone. And I can tell you that on behalf of Councilman Peter Torrencello and Councilwoman Barb Diamond, I know we're in constant contact with each other. We're talking about anything that will at all will benefit or protect the residents here in Watervliet. Again, this was basically a good test, a way of communicating with the residents. We'll definitely have this again when either one when the need arises, or maybe even on a regular basis. So at least it was, some people may have had difficulty getting on, but it's an exercise and it's a learning curve. So I do appreciate it. I appreciate the efforts of Mark in setting this up. And anything else that we have to do, we'll certainly let you know. If there's nothing else, then we'll close the meeting. And thank you again, and stay safe.
Yes, so Mayor, before we sign off, if anybody has any questions that they weren't able to ask online, you can send them to me and I'll direct them to the appropriate departments. It's a pretty easy email. It's mspain@watervliet.com. So you can just shoot me any questions you have, and I'll make sure that, number one, if I can answer them, I'll answer them. If not, I'll send them to whatever department they can think of. Ray Smith, got a question?
Yeah, I wanted to know about city council meetings. Are they still on? Are they open to the public?
Great. It's a good question. We were talking about that earlier. We're not quite sure yet. We've been hearing different, let's say, protocols on how they would be addressed. They definitely, one, will be videotaped if we have them. If they're open to the public, I'm assuming that we'll have to do some type of, the social distancing. Whether or not they can be done by Skype or let's say this particular method would be helpful, but not everybody has the ability to get on. So we're trying to find the best case scenario for that, and we'll be letting you know. We hope to have a decision whether or not within the next day or so.
Yeah, and Frank, I can follow up with this a little bit more as well. This is Joe Lasavita, the general manager. I've been talking to other municipalities because of the open meetings law requirement that all state government entities have that we guide under. There are some practices out there as far as getting if we do close to the public as we are currently, and most municipalities are, there is ways to get the agenda onto our website early with an email address that if there is a public comment or concern, you may be able to email to. But again, as the mayor says, we're trying to figure out what our abilities are, our options are to at least have some type of communication for that meeting. But as he said, give us a few days and we'll have an answer, and we'll have something up on our website as well.
You'll definitely get a general mass email that I'll be sending out informing everybody. And again, you can always, again, as Mark said it, you can always email any one of us and we'll get back to you. And you must know my email by now. cpatricelli@watervliet.com.
Curtis Penninger got a question. Curtis, you on?
Curtis?
Go ahead and talk, Curtis. All right, I'm going to go down to Lois Gundry.
Go ahead, Lois.
Kelly Vadney.
Hello. No, I was just typing to you that some of the librarians in our system, one of the larger library directors, actually the director of the Albany Public Library, did email us some stuff as librarians. It's kind of lengthy. I asked the director of the Upper Hudson Library System about it, and he hadn't really digested it yet. But basically what it was is they were relaxing some things for open meetings, during this pandemic time so that things could be done remotely. So I was just letting you know that, but I will email you what I have.
Thanks, Kelly. We do have something from the New York State Conference of Mayors also regarding the open meeting laws. So we're kind of like trying to integrate that into what would work best for us and the residents too. So send me what you have and we'll see if, I'm sure it probably is a little bit of the same information, but who knows? There's so much information out there now and some of it is contradictory to each other. But
Okay.
get it.
All right. Yeah, I'm not an expert, but I'm happy to give you what I have. Thanks.
Neither are we. Thank you, Kelly.
Yep.
Lois, you on yet?
I believe Lois is having an issue with her microphone. So,
Okay.
Lois, just shoot me an email and we'll take care of that.
All right. Anyone else? Anybody from the city have anything to say before we end the meeting?
I think that's it, Mayor. As we go forward, we'll probably do the same thing. I'll have the mayor. He's obviously got a bigger cache of email addresses, so we'll go through him. We'll get better at this as we move along. But obviously, we thank everybody for their participation today, and with your hands.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Stay safe.